and welcome everyone. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking time from your busy schedules. I know how busy we can be, and I promise you this will be fun. My name is Milena Regos. I'm the creator of Unhustle, and we stand up to this hustle culture of busyness and always on and always working. And we work with entrepreneurs and professionals like you to get them into more of a state of well-being, joy, and higher performance, which right now is actually a really good time to do. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to improve your focus and productivity by entering a state of flow. And we'll talk about some flow triggers and some flow roadblocks. We'll do some fun exercises, and I'll give you some case studies. So before we start though, you don't have to unmute everybody yet, just Dave. I want to start with a little bit of Qigong, which will just wake everybody up. I know it's the afternoon, you probably had lunch, and I don't really want you to fall asleep in this session. I promise you it's gonna be fun. So I don't want you to do what I'm doing just yet. I'm gonna jump here so you can see me. But what I do want you to do is stand up from your desk. Everybody, come on, we're gonna make this interactive. And I want you to start gently tapping on your chest. So just gently tapping on your chest, up and down, kind of your sternum. That's gonna get your cardiovascular system going. And then we're gonna go down the side of your arm, going down on the inside. So just gently tapping on the inside and coming up on the outside, going through your shoulders. Give your shoulders a nice good tap. Tap, 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 tap. Do that like 3 times. We'll go over on the other side. And we're just getting some energy going in your body. It's something I do in the morning while I'm making my coffee. So I'm giving you this simple practice. And this is what I didn't want you to do. I want you to go down on the back of your legs all the way down and up on the inside and tap like 3 times. So I didn't want you to jump up on your desk. I don't want anyone to get hurt with this presentation. So let's do this 3 times. Tap, tap, tap on your lymph nodes. Tap on the back, like your lower back. All right. Now that should get you going. And if you actually sit still for a few seconds, you'll feel the energy in your body right now. Can you feel that vibration? You can chat away if you want. I don't know how I'm gonna get you chats, but yeah, put something in the chat room if you like. If you're feeling like your body just totally buzzing with energy, that's your chi energy going through your body. And it's super, super simple exercise. You can do it, as you can see, in like a few minutes. It's great to do if you want to take a break from work. And it's also great to do in the morning to kind of get some energy going. So the big opportunity I see right now is that we're in this new normal. I don't know what we call it. What do we call it? New normal, new world. And Unhustle stands for wellness, well-being, joy, focus, productivity. So I see a huge potential right now to really start some new habits, let go of what's not serving you, because who wants to go back to what it was? I mean, we were just crazy busy, always running, always busy. I know that because I used to live that life. And so I've been on this mission to get 1 million people. I want to get 1 million people to start this new way of living, which is what I call Unhustle. So I'm going to share my screen. So the idea here is to achieve this level of high performance by getting into flow. And if you don't know what flow is, don't worry, I'll explain it to you. And hi, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. My name is pronounced Milena. I'm from Bulgaria originally. I've lived in Tahoe for 23 years, and I used to be a marketer and completely changed my life a few years back. Okay, so today you're here because you want to learn how to work less, achieve more, and live fully. And like Mike said, my marketing got him. It's really not marketing, Mike. It's actually science proven, and I've used it. And since it's summer, what a better opportunity to learn how to do this and actually put it to practice, because trust me, practice is everything. So we already did this little energy exercise, and here's where we're at. Current situation, working from home, boundaries completely blurry. We don't know actually what day is it. What day is it? Can somebody tell me what day is it? Because all the days are getting blurry, right? I mean, there's skits about it. There's no such thing as Saturdays anymore. It's just, all the days are getting blurry. As a matter of fact, there's a 300% increase in Google searches on how to get your brain to focus. So we're not alone by any means. Actually, we are in this in-between zone, and this is exactly what I'm trying to get us out of. So in the in-between zone, this is the middle zone, that gray zone is the difference between an active recovery or a fully working opportunity. So if you're in between, in that middle zone, then we need to get out of it. And most of us are in that gray zone. So when you're talking about state of flow and you're talking about burnout and you're talking about exhaustion, that happens only because we allow ourselves to never unplug and never disconnect and never really disconnect from work. And right now it's really hard because we're working from home. So we've turned our rooms into offices, or we're working from the kitchen table. Who knows where we're working from? So this in-between zone is what we're trying to eliminate. And this is the purpose of this presentation. As you saw, 96% of companies are reporting lower productivity during this time, and 75% of employees are feeling overwhelmed and significantly less productive. So just don't feel like you're the only one that's like lacking focus, lacking motivation, because a lot of us are struggling with this right now. But today you're going to actually solve that and hopefully have some breakthroughs. So I've been doing a ton of research. The past 2 years, I've dedicated my life on studying this sweet spot between wellness and productivity by doing a lot of experimenting on my own body and mind. And I've done a ton of research on this hustle culture, overwork, and then I can prove it to you with stats and with numbers that more work does not mean more productivity. I mean, we're doing it wrong. There's a ton we can learn from the European lifestyle, a ton we can learn from things like achieving a state of flow, even from elite performers, elite athletes. If you think of an elite athlete, you know, they're working out, they're training, they're performing, and then they have a recovery time. And we're right now corporate athletes, and we need to look and perform and act that way. So instead of that, we are constantly working. We never take any time for us. When we do take time for us, we're on the couch watching Netflix or drinking alcohol. And that is not recovery. That's passive recovery, and it's actually not helping you. So all of these things lead to the overwhelm, the exhaustion, and the burnout we're dealing with. Now, add on top of that a layer of pandemic and recession and all these things, and we're completely escalating and diminishing our focus and our productivity. And I want you to stay till the end of this presentation because I haven't run that by Dave, but I am going to offer your program, which I developed in the past couple of days to help you get into that state of flow. And you're actually the first ones to see this program. I haven't made it public yet. So I'll give you the details at the end. So let's start with how I wrote my book in 2 weeks. And actually, today is my deadline to finish my book. I've been working on my book, on the Unhustle book, since November, and I was stuck on chapter 1 up until about a month ago. When I realized that I know the practices, I know what I need to do, I just need to do them. And when I started to actually do the practices, it was like a light switch went on. And then a couple weeks ago, exactly to the day, I was talking with my husband, we were talking about the book. And he goes, yeah, you've been working on the book. I know you're working on the book. And he never gives me a hard time. You know, books are hard. But I said, you know what? I bet you I'll finish the book in 2 weeks. And he gave me this puzzled look on his face. And I said, okay, how about $1,000 bet? Easy. Okay, $1,000 bet. And my deadline is today. And I'm about 1,500 words from finishing the book. And I'm pretty certain that by tonight, without killing myself, I'll take a couple hours, and finish the book and get my $1,000. Now, why is that important, this little story? And I'm not talking the book's gonna be like ready to be published, don't get scared. I'll still have to edit it, and I'll still have to get my editor to go through it. So I'm talking about like this vomit draft of like, this is all the information, it's ready. I've already written like 40,000 words, and it's supposed to be a short book. Okay, so why is this story important? Because I was able to get into that flow state during the day, but I also had a very clear goal. I wanted to finish the book, so I divided what I had left to do by how many chapters I had. I had a very clear goal, how many words I had to write each day. And I also had the bet, which is I didn't want to lose that bet. So I had that motivation. And these are some of the things that when we start getting into a state of flow work really, really well for that motivation. Let me give you another story. So again, the solution to that lack of focus and motivation and performance is obviously getting into a state of flow, which we'll talk about today. Let me give you a story with Kat Karoy. Kat Karoy and I met. She does she has a really great Instagram makeover. It's called Instagram Makeover. It's an online course, and she helps businesses and entrepreneurs get better at their Instagram. And I ran through her course. I met Kat. She's a great gal. She lives in London. She used to work with the big brands in London. She was a creative. And then she burned out. So she decided to start freelancing and start her own business. So she went home and started working on her business, and she didn't want to burn out because that actually put her in a hospital. So she knew she had to take really good care of herself. And as somebody who's a creative person, she knew how to get into that flow state. And Kat and I spoke on the Unhustle podcast. You can go and listen to it. And she basically said, I work about 6 hours a day. I take naps. She has little systems for everything to kind of facilitate her work process so she doesn't get stressed out. She does everything by herself. She doesn't have any assistance. She hasn't outsourced anything. And she basically has like a seven-figure business on working less than 30 hours a day and taking naps every afternoon because that refreshes her and she can be more creative in the afternoon. So I love Kat Karoy's story. I have a blog post written with more details about Kat and some and a podcast if you want to go and listen to it. Now, here's another story. Alexandra Borbola and I went through this really extensive human potential coaching program. It was almost a year-long $10,000 program, which was really the whole idea was to like get us optimized, mind and body, fully optimized. And then we were doing coaching with each other, and I coached Alexandra in one of these sessions, and she had a really, really big goal. I mean, she's like, I want to make $1 million. I want to get $1 million client, and I want to buy this phenomenal horse that you're seeing, this race horse. And exactly, I'm not kidding you, exactly a year to the date of our coaching session, I was in Baja at a restaurant, and I get this text message from her. And she goes, hey, how are you? Do you remember our coaching session? I got my $1 million client, and I got my dream horse. And she's riding her horse, and she's working in flow. She's a photographer, and she works with film clients. So it works. Flow state works. Now, Stefan is currently in my Unhustle membership program. Stefan is a writer. He's in Germany. And Stefan did one easy thing that I told him to do and claimed that he's gotten 1 hour back every day. And not only that, he said, but I've eliminated all the distractions from my head so I can focus on writing. So I know this works. It's not just the science. I'll give you the science, but I know it works. So again, we don't want to be fully working. We want to be either fully working or fully unplugged and free. And the in-between zone is where we find ourselves stuck in, and that's why we hustle. That's why we work 80 hours a day, because we're stuck in distractions and we need to eliminate all of that so we can claim our life back. So what is flow? It's this altered state of mind. It's like the athletes call it being in a zone. The creatives call it having the muse. Time basically completely stops. There's a selflessness to it. You feel completely connected. Everything seems effortless. Your creativity and your productivity increase, your focus increases, you have more clarity. You may even feel ecstatic. Time either stops completely or it speeds up really fast. You may have that experience when you're on vacation. You're like, I've been here and I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks, you know, that feeling. And the best thing about flow is that instead of using all of your brain, you actually end up using less of it, which allows you to stay longer time in it. So basically you're 100% immersed in what you're doing. And that's what top athletes, creatives, musicians, performers, public speakers, and high performance executives and entrepreneurs want to get into that flow state because it's effortless and it's easy. Everything seems so easy. So who come up with that state flow? It was a guy by the name of a really, really hard name, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Yeah, you try to say that. Csikszentmihalyi. 1975, Hungarian psychologist, positive psychology, coined this flow state because his research showed that it's not just the gateway to higher productivity, but it's also the gateway to happiness and to well-being. So he basically outlined that flow is a state of concentration, of complete absorption with the activity at hand and the situation. Now, there are a couple of other people right now that are really involved in that flow state, worth mentioning. That's Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal. And basically, the two of them used to be together. They've split. They both have their own companies now. They do high level, very expensive flow trainings. It's kind of funny because I looked at one of the trainings, and when I looked at it and I looked at my book outline, they were pretty identical, and I'm basing my book outline on my personal experience. So I know I'm on track. So I'm super excited for that. And basically, they say flow is when we feel our best and perform our best. So flow is a state of action and awareness where it's like you're tapping into your higher consciousness. Your ego disappears. You're not questioning yourself. So if you're dealing with like self-sabotage or lack of motivation or uncertainty right now, a lot of uncertainty, these are all flow blockers. When you get into that flow state, you forget about it, which is why I've been so focused on the book, because I forget about everything else. So the very first time I experienced flow is I went to Baja California Sur, and I went on a 10-day digital detox trip, which was really nice. There was no internet down there. I didn't plan it. There was just no internet. So I was able to experience this flow when I was learning how to kiteboard. Kiteboarding to me is one of the scariest sports I have ever done. Continues to be a very scary sport, and I continue to do it because I experience flow every time I'm in it. So when I was out there in the ocean by myself, connected to this kite, and I was fully focused. You can't think when you're in flow. You can't think, you act, and that's why it's so great, because the minute you start thinking, you start second guessing yourself, and you don't have time for that when you're kiteboarding. So I want to stop right now. And basically, my experience had these 3 factors which are critical for flow: novelty, unpredictability, and complexity. That's why things like surfing, playing table tennis, mountain biking, rock climbing, all these things can put you in a state, like running, can put you in a state of flow. So Dave, why don't we unmute everybody right now? And I want to hear from everybody. What was...
Actually, I think you have to do it.
I have to do it. Okay, let me figure out how. Where is everybody? Okay, for one, I'm gonna stop sharing. Unmute. All right, everybody's unmuted, and I'll check messages in the meantime. So whoever's feeling brave.
So account summary, yeah, because homepage will give you access to all kinds of clients instead of just the one you're trying to do.
Hey guys,
yeah.
Unmute, mute everything else, turn off your tabs, put your phone on silent mode. You are not going to be able to get into a flow state if you're getting distracted. That's the #1 flow blocker. Please. Okay, so thank you. So who would like to share an experience when they've been into that flow state?
All right, I'll help. I just got back from a bike ride.
All right, how was that? Was that Carlo?
Yep. Didn't have to think about it. Just got out and rode.
Perfect.
An hour went by in no time.
Excellent. Exactly. And now, how do you feel now?
Tired.
Anyone else?
Well, Ken Pearson and I have played music together, and a couple times it actually sounded pretty good.
Excellent. Who was that, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So do the rest of you kind of understand where I'm going with that flow state? Can I get some,
Yes.
some heads nodding? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, then we will continue. Let's see. You're making me drive here, Dave.
Yeah, but you don't need a bag, do you?
So while you're doing that, I read Mihaly's books a while back, and it's kind of interesting. They're a little dense, but I think the thing for me is if you're thinking about getting into flow, it's very hard to do.
Uh-huh.
It has to kind of happen spontaneously.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't have the tools to create it on demand.
Sure. And so this is exactly the reason for this presentation, is to give you some triggers and some practices to prime you to get into that flow state. And I would also say that the more you realize it, like you went on a mountain bike ride, so you know what it feels like. And the question would be, can you replicate that while you're working?
It's possible though.
While I'm working at the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was much easier back in the day when I had a model train hobby to just get totally absorbed in that for hours at a time. Not so easy to do at work as it is with a hobby, I think.
Right. I would agree. So the question is seeking the things that would put you in that flow state with work. And that's what we'll get into. Okay, so I don't know how to see. Okay. I'll mute you for a little bit. Okay. Can you current now? I don't know if I'm muting myself. Am I muting myself?
No, you're not muted. We are all muted.
Okay. How can I hear you then if you're muted?
You hold down.
I muted myself just for you.
This is great.
Yay.
All right. So let's talk about first some of the results of getting into a state of flow, and then we'll talk about how to do it. So obviously with Carlo's experience, with my experience, improved focus and concentration, because you're on the trail, or like in my case, I was riding, I'm fully focused on what I'm doing. I mean, honestly, I can go 2 hours and not even think of my day going by. So somebody is still unmuted. So if you guys can mute yourself, I'd appreciate it. Other things are like a sense of ecstasy, clarity, you just know exactly what you're doing. Sense of time disappears, you forget yourself, you feel like you're part of something larger, And that's something I want to talk about, because when you say I can't do it at work, there could be very well a possibility that maybe you're not connected with your purpose at work, which is why I completely shifted my life to go from a marketing into Unhustle, because I felt a lot higher connection with my purpose with Unhustle than I did with marketing. So that could be what's happening there. You also become very creative, very productive. You have a lot more aha moments, and you're flowy. Let's see what the research says about it. There was a 10-year-old study by McKinsey, which tracked executives' productivity and found out that the executives who were in a flow can increase their productivity by 500%. So basically this means that you could go to work on Monday and take Tuesday to Friday off. And I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good to me. Harvard study did a survey saying that after getting into a flow state, your creativity is increased for the following 3 days. There's a 490% faster skill acquisition, like you actually learn better, you listen more, you acquire skills faster, and there's a 430% increase in creative problem solving. And see a couple more studies. Harvard Business Study conducted a 4-year study of over 1,000 professionals, because they were working something like 65 hours a day, not counting the additional 20 hours at home that they would check emails. And actually they made them take a vacation. They made them work only 4 days a week and take their vacations. And then recession hit. And even during a recession, they were like, whoa, do we want to continue with this study? Because this is for the Boston Consulting Group. So at some point in time, they realized, well, are we okay with continuing this study, or should we put a pause on it? And they actually went ahead with it. And they realized that all these professionals who were taking more time off were a lot more creative and a lot more productive. So the science shows it. The research done by Boston University, Questrom School of Business, found out that employees who worked 80 hours a week didn't perform any different than the ones who were pretending to work 80 hours a week. Now, I have no idea why anyone would work 80 hours a week. If you're working 80 hours a week, you need to quit. Hello. Okay, so we're coming to our first exercise, and I am going to unmute you all again. Now, I don't want to hear any side conversations, emails, phone calls. Ready? Ready? Okay, you're all unmuted. So your first exercise today is right now, I'm going to time you. And you're going to think of a major goal for the month of July. A major goal for the month of July. And I want you to write it down, and then I want you to break it down into smaller, clear goals. So for example, like I gave you an example with the book. I wanted to finish the book. That was the goal. How many days do I have? How many words do I need to write each day? So let's say writing from 7 till 9 a.m. in the morning, I have to write 500 words. That's a clear, actionable goal. So are you guys ready? And you have exactly 1 minute. Go.
No, it was the accident that stopped my recording.
You can ask questions if you want. Yeah, Carla, if you want, put your answers in the chat. You have 15 seconds. 5, Time to wrap it up. All right. Oh, so if you want to share, go ahead and share. We also have a little bit of a group exercise coming up. So, Carly, if you want to share, go for it. Bike 300 miles, 15 miles at 5 days per week. Okay, Carlos, so when are you going to do these 15 miles each day?
I started today.
I love that. That's a good go. That's a good
Carlos,
go.
I'm doing 12 a day, but I do it first thing in the morning, literally like 6 a.m. when it's much cooler.
Excellent. So
I'm a night person.
So how are you going to keep yourself accountable, Carlo?
GPS.
GPS. Okay. And do you need any other motivation to get it done?
Sure. So when you post on Strava, which is a web app, everybody sees your results, and of course having other people watching you make your goal helps with the motivation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so hopefully everybody has their goals written down, because we are gonna come back to them.
Where are you?
Okay, so I'm gonna meet you all because we don't want any distractions here. Okay, let's talk about now training to get into that flow state. I read through your comments in the chat. You're absolutely correct with everything that you've said in there. So first off, starting the day with some time for you, and this is this Unhustle morning that I've done for the past 2 years. I've actually done workshops with it with a lot of people, and I came up with this based on research and science and seeing what works and what doesn't. But basically, it's this sunrise method, and the practices are paying attention to how much you sleep, starting your day unplugged, connecting with nature, reading and writing. This doesn't have to be long. Setting your intentions for the day, having a little bit of stillness in your day, whether it's a meditation or mindfulness practice or even walking in nature works, some gratitude, and finally having some energy. Like the chi practice that we did in the morning, that's a very, very mellow way to get energy, but you still felt a little bit of energy. So I'm not talking some 15-mile bike rides in the morning, I'm talking moving your body. So at the very, very basic level, these are some practices that you can incorporate in your day. So let's talk about some other things. Focusing on 3 things for the day. We focus on way too many things, and we have a lot of projects jumping at us that are not necessarily the important projects, and we get busy into responding to emails and putting out fires. And so I've completely changed the way I work. I used to be in that state mode of putting out fires all the time as well. And to be honest with you, I get into my email every day. I probably spend about 10 to 15 minutes two times a day in my email, and then once a week I kind of catch up and respond to everybody. But every day I have 3 things that I'm focused on, and I get them done, and I feel good about it because I focus on the things that are the most important for my business. So having priorities from that perspective is really helpful. I know it's going to be harder when you work with people and when you work with a company, but you can still have a little bit of time in the morning to do the things that you want to do. Breaking your day into segments, whether that's personal or professional, would also help. So having like 60 to 90 day periods. I'm sure you've heard the Pomodoro technique. I mean, all that does is just focuses your attention. And then having an actual real break in between is where I think the missed opportunity is with us. Because what do? We say, okay, I'm going to work on this. You work for an hour, you work for an hour and a half, and then you decide to take a break and you go on Instagram and you check Instagram, or you check your emails as a break. And that's really not a break. A break would be go out for a walk, connect with nature, do 10 push-ups. Don't make me do push-ups right now. But anything that would actually give your brain a break. Hydration is one of the easiest things you can do, and very few of us do it. So I asked you at the beginning before we start recording if you have your glass. So if you have your, I used to do that too. Always have water next to me, and I'll be just sipping on it throughout the day. And now I just drink the whole glass. You just drink the whole glass, and then you go and get another one. But the key to hydration is really when you wake up, before you drink your tea, before you drink coffee, would be to drink one big glass of water, because your brain needs water, and we get dehydrated through the day, and then we drink coffee and tea and you get even more dehydrated. So a few more triggers. Eliminating the distractions. I heard you guys typing on keyboards. I heard you having side conversations. If you really want to get into a state of flow, you cannot have distractions. You can't have any distractions. And that means you need a clean desk. That means not just not just having your phone not to you, but putting it on airplane mode, because the minute you get that message, it's going to trigger your brain to look at that message. We're just conditioned that way. It's a dopamine hit, and you can't afford to do that. So eliminating, cleaning, obviously having a little bit of workstation, but eliminating all the distractions. I have an app on my email that's called Inbox When Ready. Inbox When Ready. It basically shuts you off from your email. So you can still send emails out, but once you go into your email, you don't see any emails, because the minute you see, again, you're going to start reading, you're going to start responding. So that's a whole big section on distractions, but that's what a lot of our time goes, and it's a really hard thing to become aware of what you're distracted with. So for that reason, I start the Unhustle mornings, or like monk mode mornings. Even if you work in a company, you can have 60 to 90 minutes every morning to just focus on what you need to get done. Now, knowing your optimum state, I don't know if you guys are familiar with chronotypes, but if you think you have to be a morning person and you're not, that's completely okay. Chronotype basically means knowing when your optimal state is. So Carlo was saying, I'm gonna go bike in the afternoon. I think it was Dave saying, I'm gonna do it in the morning. So it's the same with work. If your most creative time is in the evenings, then use the evenings to do your most creative work then. It doesn't have to be in the morning. Chronotype is something you can't change. It's in your genes. Knowing it would be a big difference. And there's 4 different chronotypes. It's bears, lions, wolves, and dolphins. Basically, most of us are bears, so we're like on a normal schedule. And then you have the dolphins are the insomniacs, so they can't sleep. The lions are the early risers, and then the wolves are the late, the most creative at night. So work with that. Don't work against your nature. Work with your nature. Context switching, that means working on one project and then jumping on another, even though it's just to check email or to check Instagram. You lose your focus by about 25 minutes every time you do that. It takes 15 to 20 minutes to get into a state of flow. Another way to help you to get into that state of flow would be listening to music. There's a ton of playlists on YouTube. You can just type in for like focus music or flow music, and they go for like 2-3 hours, and you can just listen to that. It actually, the theta brainwave, so it will help you to get into that state. And active recovery instead of passive recovery. So when you're not working, do something like yoga, or get a massage, or do some foam rolling, or go for a bike ride. That's active recovery. You getting your brain into that state. So here's the one thing that you guys were saying in the chat room, and that's basically when you're picking a task, if you're just wanting to experiment with getting into a state of flow and you're just picking up a new task, then you're looking at picking a task that is of high skill level and high challenge, but not too challenging. If something is too challenging, it's going to trigger you to go into that anxiety and panic mode. And since we're already in that state with everything that's going on, you're just going to freeze. You're not going to know what to do. So picking up a task that you're enjoying, and there's enough balance between perceived challenges and your perceived skill, and you can get some clear and immediate feedback. So for example, Carlo with the mountain biking, he's gonna get feedback from his Strava friends if he doesn't go for a bike ride. Well, that's just an interactive feature I wanted to show you in case you want to like use it in the future. But I saw a few people that maybe were by themselves, which is too bad.
I had a partner.
You did?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, well, so who would like to share how that experience was? Did you guys identify, did somebody identify a clear goal? And so you already had your clear goal and you had your smaller challenges. The question is, did that, working with somebody else, did that give you a different kind of feedback to where maybe you changed your goal or maybe you changed your smaller goals?
Well, I think with working with Stacy, she had a very clear goal, and it sort of got me to thinking about how I can put mine into a goal.
Okay, so what was your goal?
My goal is I need to find an outlet, find outlets for my garden writing.
Okay, excellent.
And maybe start structuring it like it into a business plan, where she's going for a business plan by the end of a period. Now I don't have a set date though. That's my problem.
Ah, so when are you gonna set a date by?
Well, maybe by the end of the summer, better for sure.
By the end of the summer, you're going to set a date, or are you gonna set your date now by the end of the summer?
By end of summer. Set my
Okay.
date now by end of summer.
You're getting closer.
Yeah, I'm getting closer.
I just wanted to show you guys how this works and how you could use that immediate feedback from somebody to get more clear on your goals. Like, it's amazing to have that immediate feedback as to how much more clear. I mean, it gives you a little bit of accountability, but it also pushes your skills a little bit. Like, I wouldn't have never thought that I can finish the book in two weeks, but you know, a little bit of external feedback and external motivation can really push you forward.
Yeah, you have some game for my chest.
So before I open it for questions, I wanted to share a couple of things that I have here with you. I'm gonna mute you all again. I just created these 10 free blockers PDF. So if you want that, email me and I'll send it to you. But basically it has to do with how do you deal with all the things that prevent us from getting into a state of flow. So it was, it's like, how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with uncertainty? How do you deal with overwhelm? How do you deal with the distractions? And some actions that, that can help you avoid them. So if you want that PDF, just email me and I'll get it to you. I didn't get around to putting it anywhere on my website, so it just sits on my computer right now. But basically, flow blockers. So if you're saying, yeah, I can do it with my hobby, but I can't do it with my work, then this might be the PDF that you need. So just shoot me an email, I'll get it over to you. And then finally, I told you about this program that I'm developing, and that's the Unhustle morning, that sunrise method that I just told you about. They're super short videos, like 2 to 3 minutes a video, probably takes you less than 10 minutes to get through it. And it's just a seven-day course that you can run through in a week. And that basically primes you to have a productive morning. It primes your brain, it puts you in an energy, mind, and alignment, so you can actually get into that state of flow. And for you guys, for NCET, there is a special discount of 50%, which I'm making it available for the next 72 hours. The link to get to the course is this one down here below, or you can email me and I'll get you the link, because it's not published anywhere yet. Okay, so with that, let me unmute you and answer any questions that you guys may have.
So what do you find is, for you personally, is the hardest part of getting into the flow?
I'm not too far from
For me personally, Dave, it's distractions. Yeah, always.
My main base.
There's distractions.
Somebody
The other thing that the one thing that I have found that works for me, it's also working with my energy. And working with my energy means, sometimes you wake up and you're kind of like brain fog or a little bit of fuzzy, and we still start working. And I realized that I will not start working until I'm fully in a state that I can be fully productive, because I realize I can get so much more done in less time if I am in an optimal state. So some of these Unhustle practices, sometimes it takes me 5 minutes to do, and I just do one thing. I just go outside in nature and get some sunlight on my face. And sometimes, like this morning, it took me a longer time because I was tired, and I was like, okay, I need to be on top of my game. It's gonna be a great day. I just take, because we're working from home, I can actually take as much time as I need to get into that prime state. And then I probably work 6-hour days and get a lot done.
How can we, so I'm definitely a wolf. But I'm stuck in a 9-to-5, and like, it has been better when I'm working from home because I can, like, my creative energy kicks in at like 3 p.m. But I'm in the office at 8 a.m. and leave at 5. So like, what is a recommendation for that for somebody whose creative energy doesn't fall in the hours that they're prescribed to work?
So that's a tough one, because that's going to be a discussion with your boss, and there's going to be a lot of trust issue there too. And I think that's just going to come to a complete, I think we're at a revolution with how we work. I think working 40-hour week, I mean, this whole book is all about. It's like, there's no reason why we should be working 40-hour weeks or working from 9 to 5. 40-hour weeks used to be for the factories, and we're not in factories anymore. We're typing on keyboards. And so there's going to be a lot of changes with companies. There's going to be, companies are moving, a lot of companies are moving to like a 4-day work week. I'm pushing for a 25 work week, because our brains can't process or be creative or be productive. But you also have the issue with, because I used to work with employees, it's like, how do you know if they're not in the office? And I had to let go and just base it on on what I see they were producing, as opposed to when they're in the office.
Yeah, I guess it's like I'm dealing with the public on some level, so I have to be like answering a phone or answering email,
Yeah, and if that's the case, then maybe that's not the best job for you.
Yeah.
There's a question from Nate. How do I explain to my boss, who is a workaholic, that it's not as efficient for others? I guess wait for the Unhustle book and just give him the book. Because I'm gonna bust all these myths about hustle culture. And one of them is that hustling does not end in productivity. It just does not. Or have him call me and I'll give him all the research and all the stats. But the best thing would be to prove to him. Good luck with the biking, Carlo. Connect with me on Strava. I want to see your progress.
Well, Milena, thank you so much. And we will send this recording out tomorrow to everybody about 10 a.m. and the PowerPoint as well. So thank you all for being here. Milena, thank you for the great presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys so much for your time, and good luck with the flow. And let me know if you need anything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.